Well, the iGaming industry has faced its own challenges during the recent coronavirus pandemic, but the sector also saw innovative approaches and a record spike in employees and companies' developments and upskilling. So now I'm joined by Jaime Debono, Managing Director of iGaming Academy, and Melvin, Managing Director of Royal Panda, to discuss. So guys, it's great to have you both on the line today.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. No, great to have you both here. So, Jaime, I'd like to start with you and just ask you what it's been like dealing with business during the pandemic.
Yeah, well, I have to say it's definitely not without its challenges. But by definition, the iGaming Academy can really be classified as an e-learning business. So naturally, we were well prepared to carry on servicing our clients with existing training as well as developing new training, which is addressing the concerns and needs of businesses during this time. And this really included a mix of different products and programs, coming from new webinars such as transitioning live sports betting into virtual sports to safer marketing during the pandemic. And the uptake has really been good on that. Aside from that, we've also just launched a fully accredited COVID-19 readiness e-learning program, which is in line with guidelines from the World Health Organization, Centers for Disease Control, and so on. And these courses are actually being offered to all types of businesses, be it land-based, casinos, retail betting, office environments, and it's going to help those organizations come back to work in the safest possible way. Now, considering that we understand the challenges that businesses have been going through, we wanted to support companies during these times. So we've actually decided to offer all of our COVID training at no cost to all organizations up to a certain number of employees, while also our existing clients can benefit from these courses if they already utilize our e-learning platform. So it's definitely our way of giving back to the industry during this time and helping those organizations come back to work and have the right procedures and processes in place.
So it sounds like a very busy few months for the iGaming Academy indeed. And you mentioned some of the individual subsectors there in the iGaming space. So Melvin, I'd like to turn to you now and ask you, what areas of iGaming and gaming as well have we seen that have had the biggest impact in recent months?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's been said by many people over the past months. Of course, sports betting was heavily affected by the lack of sporting events and land-based casinos being closed as well. I must say for us as an online casino mostly, not much has changed. The main thing for us has been everyone having to start working from home, getting used to working from home, initially setting that up. So even the infrastructure and it's very different than sitting together in the office. But after not seeing each other face to face for a couple of months, there's other things like, you don't have the same maybe personal connection or relationship with the people. So actually keeping that strong and having a good company culture during these times. And now, of course, we're looking to go back to the office. And that's a whole nother challenge. How do we go back to the office? And how do we deal with all of the current regulatory expectations here in Malta as well? I think in general, change is always difficult for people. So initially changing to start working from home, and now the change to go back to the office, is definitely something that we as operators have to deal with. But I would say the companies that had it much tougher are the mostly sportsbook operators or the land-based casinos, because they would have been massively hurt by the revenues as well and by the activity. So maybe they would have started branching out into online casino or esports. It's a much tougher job for them. And I think everyone has had to deal with a lot of regulatory change as well. You see the UK, there are more RG requirements. Sweden just today is imposing the new weekly deposit limits. Spain put out a complete marketing ban. So many different countries and many different businesses have to deal with these kind of issues as well.
And I couldn't agree more when we come to sports betting. Of course, that was really heavily impacted in recent months. And it really accelerated this move online, which makes me now turn to Jaime and ask, what companies have you noticed? What areas have they been focusing in? And in what kind of areas of gaming companies are they looking to upskill their employees?
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely a lot of companies have looked at a transition of certain products to others. And I mentioned virtual sports, which has had a huge increase in interest from a lot of our existing clients. But what you do have as well is being that a lot of the land-based sports providers, betting outlets, retail and casinos have had pretty much 100% of their business put on hold, we've actually helped some of those companies transition into a more of an online form through education. And this is, as I mentioned prior, it's transitioning those products, understanding the culture of what an organization needs to do to roll out certain online products. So we've definitely seen a huge increase in that. Companies wanting to take on more self-play betting. Looking at operators and affiliates, as Melvin rightly said, there's been a lot of restrictions on the way companies can market, not only to existing customers, but to the market as a whole. So we've really implemented these new safer marketing procedures set out by different regulators and guidelines, and we've been able to educate a far few number of people on those new regulations and guidelines. So there's definitely been a lot of interest on that as well. And aside from that, I mean, compliance has always been a strong point of our business. I mean, we train over 30,000 people a year on compliance topics alone. And there's just a continuous need for compliance and regulatory training across most jurisdictions. So that goes without saying.
And it was particularly interesting to see how quickly regulators moved in the recent months. And now if we look at this bounce back, the world is slowly coming back to a state of normalization. So Melvin, how are you expecting this to impact regaining of sporting events, the reopening of land-based casinos? How will this change the gaming trends that we have seen and you have identified over recent months?
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, very good news for all the sports books and land-based casinos, and I think it's great that both of those are becoming more active. Like we do sports betting as well with Royal Panda, so obviously that'll do good for us. And the question is, if these other operators have branched out into online casino, are they going to stick with that? Are they going still remain going hard in that, or are they going back to their bread and butter? So to say. So that's a bit of the question. I think for us, I'm very excited to go back to the office and get back to a new normal and continue business as usual.
Fantastic. And sorry, Jaime, you go ahead.
No, yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I've secretly been coming to the office regardless, although it's a little bit lonelier than previous months. It's definitely better as a working environment, and we are now in a transition to get everyone back in the office where possible. You know, we have our own strict guidelines to how we expect people to come back to the office, and we're giving people the freedom, like most companies that we've heard, to have that flexible working environment. And if people are uncertain or concerned, then we will be accommodating those concerns, absolutely.
And I'm sure the courses that have been provided have actually been quite a nice networking element for employees of certain gaming companies to actually be able to interact and upskill and take up some of their time as well. Did you notice a particular trend, Jaime, when it comes to iGaming courses or land-based that were being undertaken?
We actually launched 10 new programs since March, which were not even in the plans or the strategy of the business to launch. And these are really about the working environments, new product launches, marketing around COVID restrictions. So absolutely, we've really adjusted to the pandemic and the situation. And as most people are aware, we struck a strategic partnership with the Totally Gaming Academy, pretty much as the pandemic hit European markets in March. And we've seen 100% transition from our classroom-based training into virtual online courses. Over the last 3 months, we had probably about 1,000 attendees from numerous companies take up these courses. Some of them were free, some of them were paid, but that clearly just shows a huge increase in online learning and the need for online learning across the industry. Not only gaming, I mean, the education industry across all fronts has just seen a significant increase. I think there was an estimation of about 1.2 billion students which had classes or weren't able to attend classes globally. And the transition to online was essential to those individuals. So it kind of reflects what happened in gaming as well.
Of course, I think everyone had to adapt and everyone had to change their strategy. I know SiGMA's own approach, we had to have a digital conference instead of our physical in June. And Melvin, is a teacher during the iGaming courses, you had to actually provide virtual live courses. So what were some of the processes and the challenges that came with having to do this shift?
Yeah, exactly. So the main course I do for iGaming Academy is iGaming masterclass. And it really helps you to understand everything behind being an operator, or what an operator deals with from business perspective, operational, marketing, product, legal, compliance, casino, sportsbook. And I've done it a couple of times face to face. And I was quite afraid that it would lose a lot of the interactiveness by doing it via Zoom meeting. It's not the same as having a conversation face to face, being able to just speak up because you're muted when you're just listening, etc. So I was afraid it would wouldn't go so well. But actually, by adapting the course and making it, adding some interactive quizzes and some small assignments, and actually having the attendees do things for themselves on their computer or phone while they were in the call, like testing a website or doing an exercise, etc. I think it added a level of interactiveness, actually, that's not really something you would usually do in a classroom. So maybe because of this, it actually became more interactive in a way.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, thank you both so much for your time today. It was a pleasure to get both of your insights, so thank you, and hopefully see you at some future SiGMA events as well.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, that's all from us here, but we'd love to hear how you found this segment, so share your thoughts in the comments below.